Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So I've actually gotten a lot of questions around side-loading apps, installing apps on the Sealion 7. So today I'll be kind of taking some of the more commonly asked questions. There's quite a few. I'll have a list of stuff to go through, so bear with me. But if you have more questions, as always, leave me a comment. I'll try my very best to kind of answer those questions. So with that, let's get to the first question. Does installing additional apps on your car infotainment system necessarily void warranty? That's an interesting question. It really depends how people define voiding warranty. Frankly, I don't actually think it voids warranty because for most parts of it, you actually can't touch all the main functions of the vehicle. All of them are actually locked down by permissions. No matter what we do, we only see the superficial changes on the operating system. I've even heard of, some folks in Thailand where the dealership itself helps them install. But again, you know what? It's my take on it is it doesn't void warranty, but if you want to be cautious, you can also check with your dealership, and chances are they probably don't actually have a straight face answer for you. So all the tutorials you see on the channel, or on any other channel for that matter, is best effort and stuff that we kind of learn through trial and experimentation. The next question I get a lot is the app GBOX. So for you guys who are not aware what GBOX is a bit of a virtual machine slash emulator that kind of separates itself from the main Android operating system on the car. So with that, GBOX actually behaves like there is another Android device within an Android device, if you like. The challenge with GBOX though is that in recent time, GBOX actually have stopped support for a car-based Android system. Not sure why. I haven't kind of dig into it a lot, but nonetheless, because of that lack of support or moving forward lack of support, occasionally you see a pop up that says, "Hey, Gbox will no longer support this in a month's time." There's a lot of users who have actually come to me and say, "Hey, you know what? Gbox just crashes the moment it gets loaded." So, is there a fix around this? So the quick answer here is try loading an older version of GBox, because I tend to kind of go 2 or 3 versions or maybe even up to 5 versions back for certain applications if it doesn't work natively. It's because over time, they add new code base and etc. and kind of break certain things in the operating system. I know a lot of you have asked me what version am I using, so I'll try very best to kind of list down some of the versions and the app I've collated, so it just makes it easier for you guys to download. The next question I often get is, "Hey Charles, I can't actually enable ADB." So ADB, as you know, is the important command for us to kind of push the install or trigger an install, right? So we can do this remotely via a laptop. So there's a few reasons why you may or may not be able to enable ADB. The first most common one is actually the firmware version that you're currently on. So the enabling ADB, through the many taps of the screen and flipping the screen over, it only works with the 2412 and above. So chances are, if you're running Sealion and you're running 2410, you might need to kind of try the USB method, the third-party apps folder method, which in some ways I think it's easier. But yeah, if you can't enable ADB or the wireless debug mode, chances are it's because your firmware version do kind of check that out. So, a quick break. If you're looking to buy the Sealion 7, you're probably also comparing it with the Tesla Model Y or the Xpeng G6. I've put together a simple side-by-side table with real-world owner feedback based on my research when I bought the car. You'll find the link in the description, and if you find it helpful, it's a small way to support and contribute to the channel too. But now, let's get back to the video. The other important app that I typically recommend folks to install is this app called MicroG. MicroG, essentially what it does is that it emulates Google services. So why is it important? So for example, sometimes you use Waze or Google Maps or even a search. It kind of in the back end tries to communicate a Google server of sorts. And because of that, obviously you're kind of side loading it on BYD. They probably kind of block BYD as a modes of reaching the Google servers. Not too sure if the Great China Firewall of blocking Google services have anything to do with it. So while I recommend a lot of people to install MicroG, I realize a lot of folks have issues getting it to configure correctly. So one of the issues is that you do an installation of your Google account and it goes through relatively smoothly, and then at the end it just kind of kills itself. Very simply, it's because chances are in MicroG, you actually set the details of the registration on. So what it means is that it's actually registering itself as a device of sorts. In this case, maybe still registering itself as BYD. Go to the main page of MicroG, And under register device, remember to check that off before adding your Google account. Once you check that off and add your Google account, you should be pretty much good. And you can go and enable Google account again. And this time you can pick a device of choice. So you can pick Android device like Nexus or Pixel, etc., etc. But yeah, if you choose to not register a device, that actually works too. So with that, it naturally leads me to the next commonly asked question is that does Google Maps work or Google Services work? Like I mentioned briefly earlier, those applications like Google Maps and Google Services are very, very dependent on you registering to Google. So if you get MicroG running well, chances are, yeah, Google Maps would work and yeah, other Google services as well. So if you're interested in running Google Maps, I've actually got a video done up, which I'm going to leave a link and then you guys can check that out as well. I should also mention this. I know earlier I said, hey, you know what? If anything fails, or GBOX or whatever the app may be, go back a couple of releases. Some of folks have asked me, hey, you know what? How do I actually get these older releases, right? Because obviously, you go to the Play Store, you download the APK, chances are it's actually a new version. So the surest and easiest way to get an old release is go to APK repository sites. One such I always recommend is APK Pure. You can go back as far as 1 whole year, 2 years sometimes. So yeah, feel free to go to APK Pure, bring down older APKs or even ex-APKs for that matter. The next most commonly asked question is that obviously a lot of my tutorials and a lot of my walkthroughs are on a Mac OS system. A lot of you guys have asked, hey, you know what? I'm running Windows. Can you help me out with Windows? Unfortunately, I don't actually have a Windows box with me, unless somebody's going to donate one to me. I haven't used Windows in a long, long time. But nonetheless, the easiest way to do this through Windows, and you kind of want to skip all those easy, difficult command line steps, is to download a similar Android SDK that I talked to you guys a lot about, the platform tools, and then you kind of unzip that folder, right? So you have platform tools, and you should see an ADB executable file inside. And for every APK that you download, short of creating a new folder, just dump those APK files in the same folder as the platform tools. It's not elegant, but because it's in the same folder, it makes it easy to execute. There's no need to set new path, etc., etc. So that's a quick cheat and quick hack if you only have a few apps to install. And does this actually work with Mac? Similarly, if you don't want to go through the whole bunch of commands of executing path and etc., just dump all your APKs in the same folder as your platform tools and it should work pretty much seamlessly. So some of the Sealion 7 owners have been relatively fortunate in Singapore or anywhere in the world. So they have actually gotten the new firmware, the 2503. Personally, I haven't received the OTA update for 2503. I'm actually still on 2412. But if you are on 2503, I've actually spoken to some of the folks. 2503, the wireless ADB and ADB Connect switches and installation still actually works. So if you're wondering, hey, does this support 2503? Seems like it does. Nothing's really changed, but definitely I've seen crashes on G-boxes. So yeah, like I suggested earlier, just go back a couple of releases and see if that fixes it. So there were also questions around YouTube, right? I was like, Charles, why do I actually need to install your version of YouTube or the one that I use? What's the difference between the native one that comes on the BYD store and yeah, the third party one like Revanced YouTube, etc., etc. Very simply, if you just watching YouTube and the car is stationary, the one that is on board works pretty well. It works as per normal. But for me, sometimes I enjoy just running a podcast, and a lot of podcasts that I enjoy are actually in video form. So I let it run in the background, and that is only possible if the car, when I'm driving, I run it, right? I don't really look at it because I minimize the screen, but at least it's playing. So in order to do that, I need a third-party YouTube. The reason being because the one that is native to BYD, the moment you move the car from park into drive, it cuts off and say, hey, you know what? You're not supposed to be watching YouTube. And understandably, right? So the only way to do it is to have a third-party YouTube application that is external to the car, like Revanced YouTube. And yeah, it plays seamlessly. But again, with YouTube, because it's part of the Google ecosystem, it needs Google services, and hence you need to kind of get MicroG working. So as a bonus, some have asked me, hey, how do you actually figure out all these? How to install stuff, etc., etc. I'll be very honest, it's a lot of trial and error. And I've been a little fortunate in some ways because for the last 20 odd years, I'm in tech. This is kind of what I do, right? I try to fix operating systems, try to get workarounds around the stuff I do at work. And naturally, I got pretty decent at, running command lines and pretty comfortable at doing it. So yeah, it's a bit of a bread and butter for me. And I always treat the EV operating system much like the computer. And yeah, and I just kind of hope to share this with you guys. And of course, a lot of these are actually contributions of everybody else in the community. I read a lot of forums and try to understand what everybody is doing from all kinds of forums, right? From Russian forums to Thai forums to Turkish forums. And I just try to absorb as much as possible and see if I can figure out something and share with you guys. So, what do you guys think? If you have any more questions, as always, you know where to leave me comments and where to reach me. Do drop me the comment and ask your more questions, and I might do another video like such. But for now, that's all I have. And as always, thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.